And hello again, everyone. Welcome into the season debut of Panther Pride here on TV 24. I'm Mickey Shadricks, joined by Welborn head coach Jeff Smith, and the 2016 football season is underway. And the Welborn Panthers got things started off on the right track last Friday night with a victory over the Sacs Wildcats, 26-21. Coach, it's always good to get that first win under your belt, especially when it's against a team the caliber of the Sacs Wildcats. Talk about your team's performance Friday night.
Well, I couldn't be prouder of our players. They really played hard and didn't give up, and really played above themselves. There's several times in the game where they could have laid down or made an excuse or something like that, but they worked very hard going into the game, and they worked very hard during the game, and I was very proud of them. I'd also like to mention Sacs. I mean, that game could have went either way, and it could have went last year. They've got an outstanding team, and Coach Miller and them's done a good job with them too.
Talk about the challenge of playing a team like that right out of the chute, because a lot of coaches kind of like to start off a little less intense type of game, but both your program and their program have really been solid the last few years. Playoff contenders every year. How do you feel about facing that type of challenge that early in the season?
Well, personally, I really love it because it's a county rival. We can start the season off like that. I think it's great for the fans. A lot of our fans know their fans, and our players know their players, and it's just exciting to start the year off, facing a county rival like that. And, I look forward to it, and I think our players look forward to it.
As we'll see in the highlights coming up on the show, your team faced some tough, adverse situations in this game, especially early when really you had a big turnover there in the first quarter that could have really got you in a big hole, but your guys responded, and that had to be very pleasing to you for the first game.
Well, there's the four things that we really stress to our kids, and that's team, toughness, outwork, and high character. And during this game, all four characteristics showed up, and I'm just very proud of them. And
you and I were talking before we started taping the show. Your guys in great physical condition,
yes.
And as were the Sacs kids. That was a hot night as it is at this time of year. I looked at kickoff, and it was still 91 degrees when that game started. So talk about dealing with those elements.
Well, it reminds you of back in the 70s when you'd see Muhammad Ali and Ken Norton fighting, and they were leaning on each other, slugging each other in the fight. I felt like that's the way it was. We were, it was a hot night. Both teams are wanting to win, and it was just, survival of the fittest. And it was a game whereas, like I saw some of our players Saturday, they're so happy mentally right now, but physically they're just, they're still wore out and spent from the game. And but again, to be able to mentally make yourself do that and put your body through that right there, just what high character does it show in our young men?
And a testament to your off-season conditioning.
Absolutely.
And your preseason work as well.
Absolutely.
Great high school football game, no doubt about it. We've got all the highlights coming up for you next on our first season edition of Panther Pride. Stay with us. Now we're back on Panther Pride, and hard to believe, Coach, we're back for high school football. Here we go out for the highlights. You start the game off, Sacs has the football, and they got a pretty good drive on you to start the game.
They do. The thing we were wanting to do, though, is make sure we didn't give up the big plays, and they started the game off. That quarterback had that run, but we were able to stop him, and then they hit this pass on us, this big pass on us right there. But, it took them several plays to actually do it. There you see Jamar Curry, boy, played a great ball game at defensive end for us right there. And he had knee surgery last year, and he's came back strong. Here is Javion Thomas. He's playing outside linebacker for us. Came up, made a big play, and caused a fumble, and we were able to get on it. Here you see right here, Austin McQueen he threw an interception in the end zone, but this was a fourth down play where we were just trying to get it up there, and they had triple covered Montgomery, and it was picked off in the end zone. Again, Jamar making a good tackle. Defense played well. Here they had a miscue in the special teams, and we got back there in it. I think this ended up being a safety. It did, yes. here. Now we get the ball back here, and we have a good run here on our double handoff right here. Montgomery took the football. Offensive line played very well. Kid Harris here playing fullback. He was one man from going the distance right there. Here, Javion Thomas, a junior again. He runs a good, gets it in the end zone here, and he's a strong runner, and we're expecting big things out of him. He's had fought injury problems the last couple of years. Here we again hit the double handoff in here for the 2-point play, and now we're up 10-7. Into the second quarter here, you know, we had a pass that we thought was supposed to be open right there, and their linebacker dropped back and picked it off, and they got some good field position. And that running back Riddick they had, it's an outstanding back. He got it in the end zone right here for them, and they went up 14-10 on us. Again, running hard. You see our defensive tackle there, Jamicio Elson. He's on the ground and reaches up and makes a good tackle there. And just, again, tremendous effort. You know, I mean, it's easy to lay there and submit to being blocked, but he kept fighting and reached up there and stopped the running back and actually caused a fumble, but they ruled him down and ended up, you know, they retained possession.
Well, Coach, a very good first half, very competitive first half. And I want to ask you about I was there for the first half of the game, and I want to ask you about a key point early in that game. They scored on the opening drive to go up 7-0. You had a miscue on special teams. They got it back with an opportunity to possibly go up 14-0. You came up with a big stop defensively. That, to me, seemed to be the point where your kids settled down and really started to get control of the game.
Well, you know, and defensively, I want to say this, you know, probably the most improvement that we have done from spring to present date has been defensively. And, you know, and it's hard to do that in the summer too, because you're not making contact. But we've really worked with them a lot in the summer and worked with them a lot on their read drills and our defense. When we played our fall jamboree the week before against Westbrook, we could tell our defense had improved a lot, and it did in this game with Sachs. You know, Sachs has got weapons all over the place. Got a lot of speed and a lot of ways they can hurt you. And our defense, that point that that play that you was talking about where we had the miscue on the kickoff return, you know, then our defense went back out there on a short field and shut them down, and we were able to get the ball back, and then we drove and scored on the series that we just watched.
Also seemed to me, you know, as you mentioned, all the weapons that they have and the way they execute. Coach Miller does a great job coaching that team and his staff. But it seemed like there, as the game went on, you were starting to play it on their side of the line of scrimmage a little bit. And I'm sure you have to be careful in terms of outrunning the play and making sure your guys are in the spot they're supposed to be in, because if they hit you and get by you, they can be gone.
Well, their base is a zone read. Well, the zone read is a modern-day triple option. That's what it is, and you have to play assignment football to stop it. And you know, football is really not. It's changed in spreading it out where it was when we played. Everything was in such a tight box, but it's still the same type, you know, principles. And the zone read is just basically the modern-day triple option. If you don't stay at home and take the inside zone and take the quarterback keeping it, and then you can even go further and pitch it, then you're going to get beat by it. And our players did a good job being disciplined and staying and taking who they were supposed to take.
And I know how you coach. You still want your guys to deliver a hit when they get there.
Yes, and we talked to them about being physical. But now it's not hard at Welborn to get the kids to be physical. They are our youth programs. You know, I mentioned David Wormy Haynes and of course Egg. Now he's moved up and he's working with our booster club now. But you know, those guys that's worked with our youth kids all these years and everything, they instill that sense of pride of being the tough guys and hitting. And when we come up, the players are expected to be like that, and it makes it fun to coach because they have that physical aspect to them.
All right, before we take a break and get into the second half highlights, what'd you see out of this first half? What'd you talk about at halftime with the guys?
Well, really, I mean, we played real well the first half, and when we went in at halftime, we basically hydrated the kids back up. That was a big thing in a game like that, is making sure you put good fluids in them and keep them hydrated because it's so hot. And we hydrated the players back up. We reinforced some technique. we saw a few things that we could hurt them with offensively, and we were receiving the kickoff to start the second half. So we reformed some techniques on defense, and then we went on to some plays that we saw that were going to be open in the second half, and drew them up, and actually went out there, and the plays we drew up at halftime, those was exactly what we ran the first drive of the third quarter, where we were able to regain the lead.
Well, we've got an exciting second half as we had first half coming up for you. Matter of fact, a game that goes down to the final drive. We'll be back with second half highlights right here on Panther Pride. I went up and covered. And let's roll into second half highlights here on Panther Pride. Coach, as you mentioned, you received the kickoff to begin the second half.
Absolutely. We had a good return here. They angle kicked it. We were able to, get the ball out there and have it start with good field position. And here, like we said, there were some adjustments we made at halftime and plays we went over. And as a matter of fact, I wrote them down on my card, and we came right out there, and those went right in order what we were calling. We had a miscue right there on our first drive, and they're moving the ball down and hit a stick right against us, and here they come, and that was a fourth down play here, and we in a formation we was kind of expecting, and we were able to stop them right there and then get the ball back here. And then here we go, starting to drive back over again. We just picked up the script that we had left off, and here we go. Here we got, that right then we had shifted to the Notre Dame box and snapped it to Montgomery. That was a really good play for us here. And here we're driving it down. I think this is a touchdown actually right here, yes. And then we went ahead 17-14. And again, they've got weapons everywhere. You see the quarterback running, but did you see the effort of our defensive tackle there? That's Demisio Elson. He's 300 plus, and he ran down the line there and made a great tackle on the quarterback. Here, look, that running back Riddick that they got, he's running hard, running tough. Again, but then they had a miscue right here, and we were able to get on the football. Now we're driving it and driving down. This is a 4th down and 3, and we break it. And Javion here, Javion's got tremendous speed. I think if he hadn't have stumbled 20 yards, we'd have got it in. Ball's on the 1 yard line, and the kid from Sachs come off and put his helmet right on the ball, and it came loose right there. And now we're in short yardage, and they get the ball on their 1 yard line. They elected here to try to run the clock a little bit and take a safety. It's 1:25 left on the clock, and they kick off to us, and we started our 2-minute drill. First pass was here to Kid Harris. He got a nice run for about 26 yards, and we got on their side of the field. Here we go. We had another pass that we threw to Pat Harris before that, and then we got a pass to Montgomery, and we got the ball down, I think, right here on the 15-yard line. And then here it is, and Pat that was a lot harder than what it looked, because number one, Pat popped open so open that you've got to make that throw. You've got to focus and catch that throw and not drop it or not overthrow it, and we were able to do that. We thought that was going to be the last play of the game. Dalton Elton made a great sack on the quarterback, but they were able to get one more play after that. It ended with 2.7 seconds, and they threw the ball down the field, and we were able to knock it down and preserve the win.
There you see the final score. Welborn starts off the season with a huge win over their rivals, the Sachs Wildcats, 26-21. And Coach, this is just a great high school football game, really one of the best games that we had in the entire region on Friday night. And let's talk about some of the things that happened there in that second half. When you have those type turnovers so close to the goal line, that can be demoralizing, but it seemed like every time your defense was put in a tough spot, they answered.
Well, I'm just so proud of them. Again, yes, they were put in a tough spot. It had been so easy to go out there and hang your head and just give up. And there was no quit in them. I mean, you can tell how we won the game. They never quit. They never got down. They never got on each other. It was such a team win and such a great team atmosphere. And I want to say this too, at the end of that game, this is what makes football such a great game. That game ended, and we're coming off the field, and you know what? It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter where you came from. man, the fans were all hugging each other, crying and hugging on the players. And we went in that locker room, and if I could bottle that up and sell it, I'd be a millionaire. But it was absolutely great. And the feeling that you get from something like that, there's nothing like it. And my words cannot express how great a feeling and how good that was for not only for our team, but our school and our community. Our band kids, I talked to them even after the game and told them how proud I was of them because they played so hard. They was in there chanting for the team during the game, and our cheerleaders, when we watched the film Friday night when we got back, when we got the ball down on the 5-yard line, those cheerleaders were yelling and screaming and jumping up so high, and they were all trying. They were just trying to will the team in there, and those are the things in football that it just makes the game so special and makes, why we have these shows that we got like we're talking on in Pigskin Roundup, is because of those moments that you were able to get out of it.
All right, well, we've got much more on this huge win for the Wellborn Panthers coming up in the next segment. We'll also get into the individual player awards and talk a little bit more about that game-winning drive there at the end of the game. We'll continue with Panther Pride after this timeout. And we're back on Panther Pride. And, Coach, I love this time when we can spotlight some of the kids that played such a huge role in this win for you. Let's go ahead and put the player awards on the screen, and you can walk us through.
Well, our Scrambler Award, that goes to our offensive lineman had the best performance, and it was Dalton Epps. You look, Dalton weighs 165 pounds, and he gives you every single ounce that he's got. Racehorse was Jordan Montgomery. He had over 80-something yards rushing. Pancake block was Jamarian Curry, and look, he can deliver a wallop now. He can really hit. The Big Hog Award goes to the best defensive lineman, inside linebacker performance, and that went to Kane Pitts and Jamarian Curry. Kane plays a linebacker for us. 12th man is Chandler Cup, Jordan Montgomery, and Ked Harris. Jordan had some good punt returns and kickoff returns, and Ked kicking, and of course Chandler's punting. Hardest hit went to Jordan Montgomery. We've left out on there our Headhunter Award. The Headhunter Award goes to the guy that makes the most tackles, and that was Kane Pitts. You see Offensive Player of the Week, we got Z on there. That is what we call our 2-minute offense. That was all 11 guys that went out there that last drive. I mean, from the blocking to the route running to the catching to the throwing, it was absolutely wonderful. And now, we didn't mention Austin McQueen, but now he was the quarterback of that 2-minute offensive drive, and he stayed very cool and collect and did what we have worked on in practice and everything and delivered in big time. And, to be able to do that, it takes a lot, and we're very proud of him. Our Defensive Player of the Week was Javion Thomas, who had his first varsity start right there and really came up and made some good tackles and caused a couple of turnovers.
All right, well, congratulations to those players for their performance on Friday night. Coach, let's talk about that last drive that wound up winning the game for you. You talked about Austin McQueen and how calm and cool he was in that last drive. I mean, the game's on the line here, and a 2-minute drill in football, there's a lot of things that have to come together to make it happen, but you've got to have a quarterback that's capable of doing what you want to do. And I know it's such a luxury to have an experienced, quality player like that at quarterback in that situation.
Well, I told Austin during the week, I think it was Wednesday or so, we've heard a lot of big things about some of these other quarterbacks around. I said, Austin, I said, you started against Madison Academy when he was in the 9th grade. It don't get any bigger than that. That was, they were the running state champs. And he started for them as a 9th grader. I started against him as a 9th grader, and then he started every game for us last year, and he's got a ton of experience. And when he focuses, man, I tell you what, the sky's the limit for him. He's got a strong arm, and he can run. And right then in that last drive, I mean, he was really calm and collect, didn't play outside of himself, and stuck to his reads, and just really did a good job. Now, he had a good summer, too. Now, he during the summer and all our 7-on-7s, he played real well. And again, that carried over to the game when it got in that situation. The thing you can't do in the summer, though, is you cannot simulate the pressure that last drive was, and he handled it outstandingly. I'm just so proud of him.
All right, we'll take a break and come back. In our final moments together, we'll talk about the region opener this Friday night against an undefeated Pleasant Valley team. Coach Smith and I will be right back with you in just a moment. And back on Panther Pride, time to look ahead to this Friday night's matchup as Welborn on the road again. Region opener out of 3A Region 5. Coach, your team travels to Pleasant Valley, and yeah, that graphic is right. Pleasant Valley off to a good start this year. They're 2-0. Talk about the Pleasant Valley Raiders and the challenge they present for your team this week.
Well, you know, first off, they've got 18 seniors. They've got 18 seniors. They've changed offenses. They're running a wing tee, and it fits a lot with their personnel. You know, and they're much improved. I really was impressed with their interior folks when I watched them this weekend. You know, their offensive linemen, defensive linemen really get after it, and you can tell they've been coached up. Coach Hamby does the defense over there, and he's done a good job for them for years. And he's the defense coordinator. And Coach Nix, I think the move he's made as far as getting offense into that wing T offense, I think it's going to help them a lot.
Well, a lot of coaches talk about improvement from week 1 to week 2. What are you looking for specifically this week?
Well, I think we need to. When you play a game like we just got through playing, the thing that a lot of times you do in a game like that is you break your fundamentals. And I think this week we've got to go back and get right back to our fundamentals, reinforce our techniques, okay, and then focus on going out there and playing a good, solid football game against a very good Pleasant Valley football team. And I think if we can just get back to our fundamentals and work on our technique, I think then we can show the improvement from week 1 to week 2 that it's going to take to continue on this season.
All right, Coach, congratulations on the big rival victory to start the season against the Sacs Wildcats, and good luck to you and your team on Friday night against Pleasant Valley.
And I would like to say thank you to all our fans coming out there to Sacs, and the feeling that we all had after the game. There's no substitution for it, and I sure do appreciate it. I know the players do.
All right, well, we'll be back with you again next week for all the highlights of Welborn and Pleasant Valley right here on Panther Pride.